Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, the first of a new series for this year. We start with a webinar about Terrascope, the latest developments and objectives for the next years to secure continuous access to satellite data and derived products. During the second part of this webinar, we will also share more information about the integration with the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem, which was launched in July 2023. My name is Evelyn, Communication Coordinator at VITO Remote Sensing, and I have the pleasure to introduce our two speakers, Jurgen Everaerts and Dennis Clarijs. Jurgen holds a Master in Physics from Leuven University. He's a true remote sensing expert, as he's been active in remote sensing for over 30 years, and he's currently project manager of the Terrascope platform. Dennis holds a master's degree in ICT engineering. He started almost 10 years ago at VITO as project manager of the ProbaV ground segment and is now leading the remote sensing services team, a team of more than 30 experts operating several EO-based services, including Terrascope and the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem. Before I give the floor to Jurgen, let me invite you all to ask questions via the Q&A at the bottom. Other participants will be able to upvote questions if they want to receive similar information. We will answer all questions in the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. And if you have any technical issues, feel free to reach out to us via the chat. Enjoy the presentation, and Jurgen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Evelyn. The presentation is going to be in two parts, and really is the first part is the status of Terrascope today, and the second part is about the future. So, what is Terrascope? Terrascope provides easy access to open source satellite data, and that the data that we publish and provide to the users is based on the Sentinel satellite constellation that's been operating since 2015. But it's also, we provide the archives of two missions that have ended their life. Spot Vegetation, which spanned between 1998 and 2014, and ProbaV, which was its successor that operated until 2020. So that is a very important data set of global vegetation that we are responsible for to provide to the broad public. Our ambition has always been to create impact, and we see that doing us through publishing use cases where we try to explain how remote sensing solutions are applied in different sectors and applications, so that we can show that to a public that is not necessarily experienced in remote sensing itself. We are also trying to create impact by building a community on EOPlaza, where the EOPlaza serves as a meeting place where service providers can upload their solutions, and other users can use those algorithms in their own applications. And by doing so, we provide an extra way of communicating about your research next to publishing in peer-reviewed journals. Here you can really show that whatever you've designed is actually working, and receive feedback for that. Creating impact can only be done if we help our users. We are very active in helping people get started with Terrascope. We are very responsive to special requests. So if ever you think Terrascope can help you, but you don't find the necessary data or information or processing capacity, reach out and we'll try to do our best to help you out. We also provide training and so forth. So whenever you have a question, please let us know. And we don't do it alone. We are guided by experts. We have an advisory board that has members from industry, from regional authorities, from national and international organization, and it's of course there's also an important BELSPO presence, since BELSPO is the authority that is funding us. This advisory board meets every year, helps us to see clear that we're making sufficient progress, helps us evaluate the plans that we have, and will assume a new role in evaluating work that we do for the federal scientific institutions. So what is in store? What can you get from Terrascope? We have data, we have products, we have a viewer, and we have processing capacity, and I'll run through that very rapidly. We provide Sentinel-1 radar data essentially from 2015 onwards. The period before 2015 is a bit sketchy. The data were not always in a good format. So essentially from 1st of January 2015, we have all of the Sentinel-1 observations of Belgium, but obviously some parts around Belgium are also in that data set. Sentinel-1 is a radar satellite, so it is good for looking through clouds. It comes by in the same orbit every 12 days, and when you have two of them, which is not the case today, that essentially becomes a 6-day revisit. But until Sentinel-1C is launched, hopefully soon, we are stuck with only Sentinel-1A, and we have a 12-day revisit period. In Belgium, that means that you have an observation every 2 or 3 days of the same area. Sentinel-2 is an optical satellite that has a 10-day revisit period, but there's 2 of them, so essentially that becomes a 5-day revisit. And it has a close to 10-meter resolution as well. We provide data above Europe, the area covered by the EEA countries, and that spans really from Iceland in the north west to Turkey in the southeast. Parts of Africa as well, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, and whenever people ask us for more information somewhere else, that will also become visible in our viewer for everyone to see. We don't only provide data, satellite data, spectral bands, and so forth, but we also calculate in a systematic way a number of vegetation indicators and water quality indicators for Belgium. The vegetation indicators are calculated for every data set that we receive. So if you're interested in doing something more complicated than NDVI, for instance, using FAPAR or LAI, this is a place to go if you're working in Europe. And if you have special requests somewhere else, talk to us. Sentinel-3 is a lower resolution thermal and optical observation satellite for which we collect the information of the whole world. And we also calculate some vegetation indicators based on that. And there will also be a thermal product, land surface temperature, that will be coming out hopefully this year. And we will continue the synergy, we will use the synergy product of Sentinel-3 to continue the PROBA-V, and before that, the spot vegetation timeline. Sentinel-5P is an optical from UV to infrared satellite at low resolution, but it looks at the composing gases of the atmosphere. And so we have a number of air quality indicators, the concentration of nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, and formaldehyde on a daily basis, with also on a monthly average and on a yearly average. Then we also provide access to the ProbaV and spot vegetation archive together with vegetation indicators that were derived from that. So that's a whole bunch of data. 4 of the left on the left are active. So whenever there is a new acquisition, we will publish that on our Terrascope platform. The 2 on the right, of course, have ended their life. So there is those data are really static. But we also provide access to more data, a global digital elevation model, the results of the ESA world cover project, providing 2 sets of land cover data at 10-meter resolution, the world serial results, crop maps around the world for 2021, I think. We follow the Copernicus, we use the Copernicus services to provide global vegetation indicators at lower resolution. And we provide access to some local high resolution imagery for extra detail and more context. But there may be more data sets that you would like and that we're not considering today. So here is your chance to indicate what you would like to see. We're going to launch a poll. There's 3 responses that we've already added ourselves, but of course, if you want more, you can still use that and send us feedback via the Q&A channel so that other people can see what you propose and upvote it when they like it. So I'm going to leave you just a few more seconds to consider that. And I don't think I can see how these polls are filled in. So for those people that are watching this as a recording, the additional data sets that we are mentioning are the ECMWF ERA 5 METEO dataset. We're also mentioning Copernicus contributing missions that could be interesting if you like them, access to Copernicus services, and as a 4th option, any other suggestion that you may have. If you're looking at recording of, obviously you can't participate in the poll, but you can still send us feedback via info@terrascope.be. Okay, I think I'm going to close the poll and move on. So how do we expose that data? As an entry level, we have our viewer. That is really a complete solution that already provides you with lots of information. You can scroll to the full archive of Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 data that we have. You can move around on the map. You can use overlays and base maps. And what is the functionality that we offer? So exploring things, data and products that we offer by selecting something in the layers tab. But you can also show changes in land cover, for instance, by comparing data or exporting a time series as a time-lapse movie. You can look for trends when you, for instance, use a time-lapse, or when you export a time series of a certain area of a certain vegetation indicator. And of course, there's also a download function for people that like to have the data themselves, which is fine if you want it, but it's not really a good solution if you're looking at lots of data. And that's why we also have an environment for expert users. So if you want to see land cover changes or compare data or look for trends and so forth, you can always trust OpenEO to help you with that. We have a web service, a catalog as a web service that helps you find the right data. So if you provide, for instance, a bounding box and a time period, it will look for the data that are available. If you want to do more detailed analyses, we have Jupyter notebooks that can help you work with that data, but you can also use a virtual machine to do all that kind of data processing and analysis. But using the virtual machine, you also have the ability to use, for instance, QGIS directly on the data without having to download anything. But if you want to integrate anything in your own GIS environment, we have WMTS services that allow you to integrate that very easily. And if you want to use somebody else's solutions or promote your own solutions, we have this OpenEO EOPlaza solution that looks a bit like this. And any service that is onboarded is validated. It gets a certain level of maturity. It could be incubating, it could be validated, it could be operational, based on a number of checks that you need to do yourself. And then people can select that service and try it out. And when you try it out, you end up, for instance, in the OpenEO web editor, where you can provide all of the necessary inputs and then have the process run until it's finished, and then you can download the results. So this is a very visual way of working with those processes. The model that you build in a visual way can also be exported as code, so you can then integrate it in some other application very easily. And that concludes my part. I think that I've given you some insights in what is possible with Terrascope. It's been high level, and I think if you want more details, contact us. We're very happy to give you more one-on-one information, or come to you and explain that in a information session at your place. But now I think it's time for Dennis to continue.
Yes, thank you, Jurgen. Good overview of where we are at today. So my part will be mainly on indeed what is coming next, and I can happily say that recently there was the contract signed for Terrascope to continue for the next 5 years. So that means that we have the mandate to keep Terrascope up and running until at least the end of 2028. So that gives us a good way of further operating the platform and evolving it. So that's a good start. So I think giving a little bit of more context of what is ahead of us, I think it's important to show what is happening above us. And I stole some of the slides of ESA in this way, and I did a nice drawing on that. So the red line means that that is the situation today. Everything before or north of that line is what was launched already in terms of Earth observation satellites, and we're already processing quite some of them, as Jurgen showed. And you will see that all the other missions that are coming up from ESA, particular the Copernicus missions, there are a lot of plans in let's say, in the next 5 to 10 years of launching new capabilities, new satellites, and things we have to take into account when operating the platforms as we do today. So let's say on the most near term, so this year we have from ESA confirmed that they will launch Sentinel-1C, so an extra radar satellite to replace the Sentinel-1B satellite that was broken down a couple of years ago already. And then Sentinel-2C will replace the 2A unit in the next year. So from what we understand is that the launch will be after summertime. So that is coming our way as well. But other than that, yeah, a lot of other interesting missions in the scope of Terrascope for the next 5 years. So we will be happily keep up with what is coming at us that way. Of course, as Jurgen already showed, we are in Terrascope focusing on processing or downloading a subset of all this data. We cannot hold the whole data sets, the whole archives. That's simply too much for Terrascope. So and ESA set up a system for that to hold the entire archives of these Sentinel satellites, and that is called the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem. The Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem, or CDSE in short, is what was launched last year. And as VITO, we are happy to be a part of it, or take the burden of it. Depends on how you look at it. This gives us insights and a privileged position as well to see what is coming at us and to be close to the source. And of course, yeah, this is a good evolution, I would say. So it's important to say some words about what the system is all about and how we will evolve with Terrascope, connecting to the data space, and what the differences are. So if I dive a little bit into detail of the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem, so the system was set up for quite some time to hold the entire Sentinel data archive. So from the launch until today and the coming next 5 to 9 years, that system will hold all the data on a global scale for the entire archive. It will be complemented with Copernicus contributing missions data. So, but for these data sets, you need privileged access. And there are some additional Earth observation data sets as well that are available. So some Copernicus services data, let's say a selected part of it, is also available through the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem. With all this data, there are quite some tools or ways to explore the data. So there's a Copernicus browser for the data visualization. You can do some analysis in there and export whatever you need from the Copernicus browser. There are several APIs available for the open and free data access of this data within certain quota, of course, and there is a federation and user identity service in place for the further build-up of an ecosystem. There's next to that, let's say a commercial cloud computing tier available with selectable capacity and performance for people that need that for large-scale processing. And there's also a code lab and repositories available for users to onboard their work. This will be the main source of Copernicus data in the foreseeable future. It holds the entire archive, as said, and all the products are digitally traced with a traceability system. So you can look up the authenticity of each product. Currently, what is available is about 34 petabytes of data, and which is growing on a daily basis. So I think every day 30 terabytes is added to the system, which will result in a system of more than 100 petabytes by 2028. This whole system is governed by SLA within the contract. The contract is now also until 2028 with an optional extension of another 4 years to 2032. And that is needed, I think, to build further upon, to generate a long-term trust for building up on services of this Copernicus data. Also, the goal for the system is to create an open ecosystem of advanced services with additional API access, more cloud processing possibilities, an extensive code repository, and so on. Then a little bit more detail on the technicalities of the data space. So as said, there's a large portfolio with Copernicus browser being the most easy way to access all this data, to view all this data. In the meanwhile, there's a QGIS plugin that is made available based on the Sentinel Hub APIs. There are OData, there's an OData catalog, a stack catalog, and there's access to S3 protocol buckets towards the Earth observation data files. There are streamlined data access APIs on which are two flavors there, Sentinel Hub and OpenEO. OpenEO I'll zoom in a second. There is Jupyter Lab available, workspace for on-demand processing capabilities, traceability service, and infrastructure as a service. So there's quite a range of tooling also that is there available and under contract with the European Commission and ESA. Everything is quite well documented and worthwhile to explore. Moving on, so what is now the connection with Terrascope and the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem? So as the name says, it's a data space in Copernicus, but they also want to promote ecosystem part. So, and in that part, as an ecosystem, a federated approach is very important. They want to connect with different platforms, different capabilities that are there in Europe. And we as Terrascope would like to be part of it, and we will be part of it. And I think that federated approach has quite some advantages with the other data sets being available in Terrascope, for example, that can enhance the spatial and temporal coverages with the data sets that are available. Of course, there are specific users that want to have privacy, the work they are doing in combination with the data sets that are available. So they are not open to use any platform. So they would like to have, they have their specific requirements also on the data sovereignty. That's very important as countries to move ahead, certainly in this day and age. Also, this federated approach gives the opportunity for Terrascope to move forward in innovative ways. You cannot expect that the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem, let's say, inhales all the new innovations that are there in technology. So it can first and foremost be tested and exploited in, let's say, on a regional basis. And that's what we would like to do within Terrascope as well. This federation will also give the opportunity to scale, to make sure that new capabilities can grow the ecosystem. So therefore, you do not want to have one monolith that serves everything, because you also need to have resilience. If one of the systems goes down, you don't want to lose access to the data. Maybe federated nodes can serve that data as well. So these are quite some advantages why we chose to have this approach with Terrascope as well. And for Terrascope, what we want to have as a differentiator is on the focus to have these added value products and services. So that's what Jurgen explained as well. We do not have only the access to the, let's say, the native data, but we do some extra on top of that. We do unique systematic production of downstream products, of composites and so on, like the Sentinel 5P composites that we do on a monthly, yearly basis. We have additional on-demand products and services that we serve through Terrascope. We do a conversion to cloud formatting, cloud-optimized geotiffs. That is, let's say, more going ahead with time as opposed to the native data sets that are available within the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem. And of course, we also have our heritage products like Spot Végétation and ProbaV. These time series, we also continue to evolve them towards new formats, towards new standards, towards a higher quality. And that's what we will be focusing on within Terrascope to differentiate us from the main Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem. Moving on, so this federation, the technology that is very important for us is OpenEO. It was already mentioned a couple of times, but I want to dedicate a slide to that as well, is that this OpenEO API, it's an open source API, which we have a whole team working on. And yeah, the community on that API is growing. It's also being proposed as a new OGC standard. So it's a good step forward, I think, but it supports the FAIR principles and open science. And that's what we like to enable as well within Terrascope. And OpenEO enables a unified and scalable federated data access towards the Earth observation data. It can give quite some possibilities for advanced workflow orchestration, where you can go from local prototyping in a notebook, for example, try it on a very local scale, on a field level or so, and then scale up, retrain your model, and then scale up again towards even continental processing. At VITO, we're even moving on towards global processing using OpenEO. This OpenEO as an open source technology that was developed as an Horizon project in the past. Afterwards, we were involved with a ESA project called OpenEO Platform as well, in which Terrascope is one of the backends. And now we also orchestrate the OpenEO backend on the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem. So that means that more backends are being made OpenEO ready, I would say, where this backend is available, which gives quite some possibilities for users to use different collections over different backends. And that's what this project OpenEO Platform was also all about. Now this project is coming to an end, OpenEO Platform, and the next step is to onboard it into the ecosystem of the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem as well. That's the whole idea, and that is what will be happening in the coming year or the coming months even, and which we will push forward. So OpenEO is an enabler to federation or to open up lots of processing capabilities. There are interfaces available like the web editor. You have Python client available, R client, JavaScript client, and so on. And this can enable the processing of lots of projects. We're doing that on a daily basis within VITO, and beyond. We're helping also quite some other projects to work on this. And you have some examples. And also we try to capture the output of these projects on OpenEO and then feed it back into the EOPlaza so that it can be reused by other users as well. So that's the important part, and where we believe firmly in the FAIR principles and the open science. Moving on, so yeah, Terrascope is at the moment already backend or serving several different platforms. So here you have an overview of what is there. I'm not going to go in detail, but we're connected to, yes, say, OpenEO Platform. We will be connected to the data space with our data sets as well. We are connected with the European Open Science Cloud. So there are many examples of federation already where Terrascope is active. Then also moving forward, so the connection to the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem will happen through OpenEO. We will also integrate the data sets into our viewer that are available on the Data Space Ecosystem. And we will try to link all the native data sets of the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem into the Terrascope cloud and catalogs. On a national level, it's important to mention that we will be working with Belgian federal scientific institutes like BERA, like Arbins and so on, to support product developments and services, so we can increase the range of unique services that we have within Terrascope. We will also support development of use case and proof of concepts towards the green transition, where the European Commission is heading for. And also there's an important part on cooperating with the Belgian Climate Center. That all needs to take shape, but this is at least contractually what we will be working on to extend the impact that Terrascope will make. On a technological level, we will for sure look into innovation, because in 5 years the world will look a lot different as well in terms of technology and so on. So things that we know of that might cross our path are new technologies. Simple, for example, Slurm for high performance computing processing towards GPUs and so on. There are a lot of other data spaces also popping up. And we will for sure see how can we connect to them. There's in Flanders, for example, the initiative of the Vlaamse Smart Data Space, VSDS here. There's on the European level, Destination Earth taking shape. And we will for sure look at how can Terrascope benefit from the other data spaces. Good, but I think it's important that we will, despite all the new technologies, all the new data sets, that we keep the user focus and that we try to help as much as possible with your projects, with your endeavors. We'll try to democratize the Earth observation data and service that we have for you and free of charge. And therefore, we would like to know, there's another poll now that is being presented on the screen, where we might be able to help you. And I would say the message again that Jurgen already repeated, we are there to support you. And we have multiple ways of doing that. And they are in the poll here today. So we can get you started with Earth observation data if you are on the starting up with that. We can for sure give specific access to products. Maybe we have already connection with other platforms in which we can integrate the products for you. We can generate sample code. There are multiple ways for processing for your project. So we can grant credits for processing. We can grant infrastructure as well on the Terrascope cloud to benefit your project. We can give you engineering support. We can support proof of concepts and so on. And of course, the onboarding in the EO Plaza to go for the fair science. That is what we are after. And also, if we are pushing Terrascope also in the educational system. So if you have any questions on that, we can give roadmaps or road shows and go on a mission to support you in that as well. And I see that there were already quite some responses. So I think half of the people that have answered really would like to get started. So that's a good input for us to maybe focus on that in the future, to lower the bar even to use everything that we have today, because it can be challenging, of course, if you start up. But I think there are multiple ways to increase the knowledge, and that's what we try to do. So we'll close the user poll now, and I think I would like to, if my screen anyway, I would like to follow. There's one more slide from my side. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's the last one. So this is a summary, actually. Yeah? So for Terrascope, for the future, we will look at the connection to the Copernicus Data Space Ecosystem, where we have 28 already unique data sets today. We will further extend that, and we can extend also towards the whole archive, towards the global archive. We have that, we built a Terrascope platform. On top of that, we have quite some colleagues with knowledge on the technical level, on the scientific level, that can support you in your way of working. We will work on an increased support system, a new user forum, and so to make sure that we do not or that we can support you as good as possible. Then we have services which Jurgen already highlighted. So I'm not going to go into the detail there. And mostly we are there for you. We want to serve the users. We want to make this ecosystem happen, which can be done through sponsoring, user and onboarding support, educational support, co-creation, development of the use cases, and we will extend our offering in the ecosystem with the cooperation with the federal scientific institutes, including the Belgian Climate Center. I think that is concluding my part, and then we come to the questions. Okay, maybe this is the last slide. We have multiple ways to reach us through the info mailbox. We have the forum being available. You can subscribe to our newsletter. We will not clog your mailbox too much. There's only 4 mails a year. And then, yeah, we've released a blog as well yesterday, and the QR code that is available points towards that blog, which all summarizes a little bit what I was saying today. So I'm going to leave it here, and I think it's time for questions.
Yes, indeed. Dennis, thank you for your explanation. We have a first question, but people, please do send us more. Are you planning to upgrade the Terrascope VM operating system?
I think I can answer that. That's certainly on the roadmap, because I think now everything is, or at least most of the systems are running on CentOS 7, which is already an old version. We will be upgrading to Alma Linux. I'm not sure which version that will be, but we will go to a very more recent version of operating system, and that will happen in the next coming months.
Okay, thank you. The only remark that I see right now is that some people are interested in evapotranspiration data. I think Dennis nor I are scientists, so we're not. I don't think we can answer how easy that would be to integrate, but we will certainly follow it up and try to have some of our colleagues analyze what is needed to provide that data, and then we will present that to BILSPO and the advisory board for their opinion, and if they're okay with it, we can move forward and implement that. But if those that raised the question have good ideas or can help us, please contact us, and then we can see how we can work together. There aren't any other questions. But never mind, if you don't have a question right now, but come up with one later today or at night, you can still contact us at Terrascope. Let me see if I can move back to that one. Via our info@terrascope.be, or via the forum on the Terrascope website. So you'll know how to contact us, and we'll be happy to entertain whatever questions or remarks that you have. And then I think we can close. And Evelyn?
Yes, thank you, Dennis and Jurgen, for this extensive and interesting update. Before we close this webinar, we want to share our upcoming webinars. More information about these webinars and additional ones is available on the Terrascope website. And feel free to contact us if you have any other questions or are able and willing to share a specific use case through the Terrascope platform. That brings us already to the end. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you at one of our next webinars. Stay in touch and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.